Is Eric Spanos actually Thanos? A huge day for the senior gets men's lacrosse a big win. Maryland baseball avoids the sweep. And is women's lacrosse ever going to lose again? I'm glad we crossed paths. The left bench is coming up next.
Welcome back to Left Bench, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Brendan Weissel, here with Daniel Stein. And Daniel, what a ridiculously good weekend for Maryland men's and women's lacrosse.
Yeah, Brendan, the men finally won in convincing fashion, and the women are now the #1 team in the country.
Very exciting stuff here in College Park. And the #1 ranking comes after a super strong week from Maryland women's lacrosse, and a little help because of losses from UNC and Stanford last week. Even despite a close-fought battle yesterday, the Terps found a way against number 21 Penn State. Corey Edmondson quickly starts off, scoring her 30th goal of the season before 2 consecutive goals give the Nittany Lions their first and only lead of the day. As both teams exchange blows throughout the game, Lauren LaPointe displays a dominating 4-goal second quarter to give Maryland a 9-6 lead at the half. Later on, the Terps enter the final period with a 3-goal lead, yet can't seem to put Penn State away. The Nittany Lions score 3 goals to bring them within 1 before Jordan Lipkin forces a game-saving turnover to give Maryland the final possession. The Terps play keep away for the remaining time before securing the narrow 14-13 victory. Here's what Kathy Reese had to say post-game.
And the sign of a great team is a team that can handle challenges during the game and find ways to pull it out. And we did that.
And who could have predicted this undefeated streak for women's lacrosse?
I'm not sure I would have, but look who we have with us in the studio. It's Ethan Dean, and he's going to break down the success of women's lacrosse. Ethan, what do you got for us?
Fellas, last time I was in the studio, I predicted Maryland men's basketball would finish the regular season with a 12-19 record. I wasn't too far off, considering the Terps finished 11-20 in the regular season. So I think it's time to test my skills again. It goes without saying that number 3 ranked Maryland women's lacrosse has been excellent all season long, and now they're number 1. And no, this is not an April Fool's prank. The Terps are 12-0, undefeated for the first time since 2019, the last undefeated team in the country, and just 4 games away from a perfect regular season. Some fans are wondering what the odds are that they can complete this impressive feat, and I believe they are higher than most may think. Maryland's final 4 games this season include 3 ranked opponents in Northwestern, Michigan, and Ohio State, but the Terps have held their own in high-stakes contests. This season, lacrosse has taken down Syracuse, Virginia, Princeton, Johns Hopkins, and recently Penn State in ranked play. Junior Lauren LaPointe and senior Corey Edmondson have led the Terps with 43 and 32 goals respectively, spearheading the high-power Maryland offense. LaPointe's 63 points is good for 3rd in the Big Ten Conference. It's my opinion that these two will continue to produce for the squad for the remainder of the season, with LaPointe even in the running for Big Ten Player of the Year. The continued production from LaPointe and Edmondson will boost the Terps to 3 more wins on the season, but I believe Northwestern will hand the Terps their only loss. The Terps have not defeated Northwestern since 2022, losing their last 5 meetings. 2 of those losses knocked Maryland out of the Big Ten tournament, a meeting that could very well repeat itself this postseason. So, I think it's time for some predictions. Despite the high hopes I have, I'm standing firm with Maryland women's lacrosse, finishing 15-1, but first in the Big Ten Conference. I do think, however, that Johns Hopkins will get their revenge and take down the Terps in the Big Ten championship game if the bracket plays out that way. In terms of the NCAA tournament, I'm confident that Maryland makes a deep run that ends in the semifinals. A 15-1 record would be the squad's best since 2022, when Maryland finished 19-2 after a loss to Boston College in the NCAA semifinals. Who knows? Maybe history will repeat itself for this year's campaign. Back to you guys in the studio.
You know, I don't hate those predictions there, but here's what I'll say. They've been a little bit snake-bit by Northwestern the past couple years, but I think the one thing about this team that I've loved is their chemistry, and they haven't looked daunted all year.
Their chemistry is really good, and people forget they've played Northwestern before in the Big Ten Championship, and also this team is virtually the exact same as it was last year, even if you take out Keely Block and Christian Shanahan, the 2 big transfers. Now, number 12 Maryland men's lacrosse traveled north to face Michigan Saturday, and the Terps offense, which has been anemic all season, woke up in a big way. Michigan had won the previous 4 games in the series, but the Terps lead the Wolverines 4-2 after the first quarter. In the second quarter, quite simply, Eric Spanos put the team on his back. He scores 4 goals in the second quarter alone to put the Terps up 8-4 at half. Michigan would go on a run in the third quarter to get within 1, but Spanos just adds another 3 in the second half to put his total at 8 for the game. The most goals by a Terp in one game since Weissel and I here were in high school. Maryland wins this one in Ann Arbor 14-8.
I suspect Spanos might be up for some awards later in the show, but
Probably.
You at home, don't go anywhere because when we come back, Ryan Martin joins the show to talk all things Dirty Terps.
The one and only Ryan Martin joins us. Absolute cinema. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.
Hate is loud. It gets clicks. It gets attention. Hate, however, is actually quite small. But love is the majority. Love fills our hearts, our lives, our everyday.
The Left Bench is back, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. Daniel Stein here with my partner in crime, Brendan Weissel. And Brendan, it may not have been the year that Terps football wanted, but they still have plenty of NFL draft prospects.
Yeah, it reminds me of last year. Another 4-8 record, but a lot of guys selected to that NFL draft. On Friday, Maryland held its annual Pro Day inside Jones Hill House. 7 Terps from last year's team did their best to showcase they have what it takes to play at the next level. Scouts from 30 NFL teams were in attendance. Let's take a look at what Terps were at Pro Day. Jalen Husky is looking to become the next in a long line of pros to come from the Maryland secondary. Husky was named to the All-Big Ten second team last year and ranked the 7th best safety in the draft by ESPN analyst Mel Kiper. Alan Haran also attended the NFL Combine and he was at Pro Day. In his 2 years with Maryland, he started all 24 games on the O-line. Also in attendance on Friday were key pass catchers from last year, Octavian Smith and Shalik Knotts. Both spent 4 years at Maryland. Long snapper Ethan Goff and D lineman Cam Rice, as well as wide receiver Jaleel Farouk, also showed off their skills. The NFL draft begins on April 23rd in Pittsburgh.
A little Ethan Goff shout out on TSC. Now moving on to baseball, after starting out Big Ten play with a 1-5 record, Maryland baseball looks to right the ship against a tough opponent as number 12 USC comes to town. The Terps offense comes out swinging in the first matchup of the weekend, scoring 10 runs, but it's still not enough, as the Terps fall in what some would call a barn burner, 11-10. Saturday's game was similarly close with a 6-5 final as Maryland upsets the number 12 team in the nation, handing them their 3rd loss of the season. The number 12 Trojans are the highest ranked team Maryland has defeated since they beat number 12 Wake Forest early last season, but in the end, the series comes down to Sunday's rubber match, and as much as Maryland fans might have been excited for a potential upset and Maryland's first Big Ten win of the season, this one was over before it began. As some would say, Maryland got belted, losing 14-4 by mercy rule. Although it was a tough loss, head coach Matt Swope understands that the Terps are fighting above their weight class right now.
Overall, I just told the team, you look at the whole week, it's just about as good as opponents we're going to face. And you look up at the majority of the time you're watching us play, when we're not giving up freebies, we're going toe-to-toe. So, our offensive plan, again, that stack is pitching at, almost a nothing. And we got the starter out, at 77 pitches in the 3rd inning and got him out in 3 innings. So, was really happy with the way we've competed.
In order to make sense of the Dirty Terps gauntlet of a schedule these past few weeks, we're excited to welcome on the co-director of broadcasting and media at the Maryland Baseball Network, Ryan Martin.
Ryan, we are honored to have you on the show.
Brendan, Daniel, longtime viewer. First time as a guest, though. Couldn't be more excited to join the desk with you guys.
Is that true?
I've never been a guest here before. It's been a lot of, I've watched, of course, been participating in the show, but not as a guest, no. I'm excited to be on the other side.
We're going to make sure it's a good time. Let's talk baseball, of course. Swope's going to talk about the schedule. Hey, they've lost 10 of the last 12 games. They had a solid start out of conference, but what do you make of the last 12 games and what's led to all these losses?
Yeah, Brendan, there's been a lot going on with this Maryland baseball team right now. And you're looking right now 3 weekends into Big Ten play, and I love the analogy that you guys use at the end of Maryland baseball being out of its weight class right now. Is an excuse, maybe, but it's true, right? You go to UCLA and you play the number 1 team in the country in the Bruins, then you're welcomed by the second best team by a lot of estimations in USC. So you get that Saturday win against USC. That's tough competition, but the real reason is there hasn't been complimentary baseball being played. Terps bats, as Daniel mentioned, really have had success as of recently in the 3 years under Swope. Hitting-wise, that pitching hasn't been backing it up, and when the pitching's there, you go to Saturday at UCLA, where they held the Bruins under double-digit runs for the only time that weekend. Maryland's offense only played 3 runs in response. So it's really been a struggle for Maryland, especially into Big Ten play, to find those games in which the pitching is backing up the hitting is giving just enough run support for the pitching. Complementary baseball is something that a D1 coach would mention to you, or a Little League coach would probably say as well. Maryland hasn't found it into Big Ten play this season.
Now, I want to ask you about that pitching because Matt Swope teams always bring the offense, but the pitching just hasn't really been as good as the offense has, specifically in the rotation. What do you think is behind those struggles?
I think there's a couple of things you look at for the rotation. It's a rotation of starters that goes just 1-10 so far on the season. Maryland's losing games early. That run support isn't there, but Maryland pitching's been really inconsistent, especially with that starting rotation that you mentioned. I think some of the faces have been inconsistent. We've seen a couple different arms start at the midweek spot. Evan Smith, the Saturday starter, just got back from Tommy John surgery. He's getting better as the season goes on and had his best outing a couple days ago in that win against USC. But really, Daniel, I think the starters, the revolving door has played into that a little bit. A lot of these pitchers are getting behind in counts early into games, which sets Maryland back overall. And then Sunday, I think you're looking for a couple better Sunday starts. Jake Yeager's gotten hit around a couple of times, only go 1 full inning against both UCLA and USC. That could be a spot where Maryland maybe tries to turn over a stone, see what else is there, and put a different Sunday starter in place of Yeager. But really, again, losing too early into games, that rotation hasn't been able to give Maryland those early innings that it's needed.
Yeah, it's always tough when starting pitchers or just pitchers in general early in their series don't perform at their best because it sets the whole entire staff behind, and obviously that's led to some of those serious losses. That's been a huge negative. There have been some positives so far this season. Who would you say on the team? Some names to throw at us who've outperformed their preseason expectations.
Yeah, I think there's been some huge positives for Maryland, especially when you looked at that non-conference schedule with the series wins against Troy and UNC Wilmington and what Maryland's done recently. I'll give you a returner and one of the 20 new players. Let's start with the returner. Jordan Crosland's been great for Maryland. And I think if you told Crosland early in the season, after he redshirted last season because of injury, that he'd be batting over .320 and playing in 23 games so far, he'll take that every day of the week. We've seen the power with Crosland a little bit more come into fruition. That guy on the screen right there, Ryan Costello, has been great as well, finding that power alongside Crosland. But Crosland's the big returner that I think Matt Swope has really relied upon. And then I love what a lot of these younger and newer guys are doing. Ty Konis has been great as a freshman, and the strikeouts have been there offensively. But he started every single game, guys, at shortstop. That's a tough defensive position to play as a first year. But he comes out of Jefferson, Maryland, someone who had really serious draft type. He's hitting nearly 270. And that power is starting to come back. He had 6 homers during the fall ball season, had his first homer as a Terp come in that Saturday win, and that gave Maryland a lead that it really utilized. I think if Konis can be someone who can be not only a contributor, but a leader, and when Konis hits, the rest of the team does. Konis has hits in 9 of his last 10 games. Interested to see how the freshman progresses farther into Big Ten play.
And I wanted to ask you about Konis. I mean, he's a true freshman playing shortstop, especially in a Maryland program that has seen a lot of talent at shortstop recently. Do you think that it's maybe the incorrect decision to play a guy like Konis at short the whole season? Like, do you think that's putting too much pressure on a freshman?
I would say it's putting too much pressure on the freshman, but Konis just looks so calm and collected at that position. I think if you were to name Maryland's best defensive player so far this season, I think Konis is the favorite to win that award right now. Again, starting at shortstop every single game, there's only a couple Terps who can even say that they've been at the same position. I think Konis would actually be the only one. David Mendez missed the Sunday game after starting every game previously at second base. So I think every kind of grounder he looks so natural with. Again, if he can have that bat to back up that defense, I think it's going to all come together for Konis. But yeah, I think the pressure would be there, but Konis just isn't showing it right now. So he looks to be someone who's ready for that moment. Again, he had serious draft prospects, chooses to stay home. He'll be at Maryland for the next couple seasons.
And then last one for you. Obviously, a losing record at this point in the season is not ideal, but given that Maryland's schedule is getting a little bit easier, they have a couple midweeks coming up, then they have Ohio State on the road. Do you think that it's not really out of the realm of possibility that they're still able to make the tournament?
I think it's certainly a possibility. I don't know what you put percentage-wise right now, especially with Maryland being 16th out of 17 teams in the Big Ten. They're going to have to jump up a couple spots if they want to get to Omaha and the Big Ten tournament for the first time since they won it in 2023. But look, guys, there's still 7 Big Ten series remaining. You've played 3 so far, so you're only 30% of the way through the conference schedule. And out of those 7 remaining teams, you're not going to face anyone as tough, it seems right now, as a UCLA or a USC. Those 2 California schools are 2 of the 4 ranked Big Ten schools right now. You also got Oregon, Nebraska in there. Maryland doesn't play either the Ducks or the Huskers until possibly in that Big Ten tournament. The Terps will head to Ohio State this weekend. I'll travel to Columbus with them. I'm excited for that. But I think there's reason for optimism when you bring up that schedule again. And they just had a tough midweek against Virginia, played 7 straight games against top 15 teams. Those final 7 weekends are going to be the deciders for Maryland in its season, but it's not over just yet for the Terps. I still see a path for them getting to the Big Ten tournament.
Very well. First of all, good luck with your travel this weekend. And I think you did a pretty good job. We'll probably have you back on the show in the future.
I'll take that. I'll take it. Thanks, guys. Always fun.
Always a pleasure, Ryan. To listen to Ryan call games on the Maryland Baseball Network, you can tune into him at marylandbaseballnetwork.com and keep up with Ryan on X at RyanMartinPXP.
Now, Maryland softball entered the weekend having lost 6 of its last 7 games as the Terps faced a weekend series with Wisconsin in America's Dairyland, but the Badgers proved too much, sweeping the Terps. Game 1 is tight, with the Terps taking a 1-run lead into the bottom of the 7th. But after Wisconsin ties it up, Mariah Penta forgets how many outs there are and takes the out at first instead of going home. Wisconsin walks it off 6-5. Games 2 and 3 just aren't as close, with Wisconsin's Mackenzie Foster notching 2 RBIs in Game 2, and the Terps are run-ruled in 5 innings on Sunday, losing all 3 before they head to Penn State next weekend.
On Saturday, Maryland track and field traveled to Annapolis for the Navy Invitational. The Terps ended the meet with 3 top 10 all-time marks in program history. 2 of those performances came in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. Sophomore Caden Justice ran a time of 11 minutes and 10 seconds, the 6th best mark in that event in program history. Bryce Hatcher ran a 100-meter in 11.85 seconds, good for the 10th best time in program history. 10 Terps also won their respective events on Saturday. Let's look at a few. Maya Mosley, who won the 400 meter with a time of 57.78 seconds. Reese Allen won the discus with a throw of 53.81 meters. Now sticking with the throws, Morgan Graham won the hammer throw with a toss of 55.68 meters. Nyla Cherry won the triple jump with a leap of 5.94 meters. And Maryland track will be back in action at the Florida Relays next weekend. The Terps' newest commit, Quincy Wilson, is one of many Maryland track athletes to have a great relationship with head coach Andrew Vallman. As a former Olympian himself, Coach Vallman understands what it takes to build a program.
Our Eddie Calkins looks at how one relationship is at the forefront of Maryland track.
It's hard to explain.
The girl dad, you sit back and just watch your kid compete. It's what you think about, but now you can see it come to fruition.
Imagine raising a daughter and watching her grow as an athlete, and now, years later, getting to watch her break school records. That's the job of Andrew Vallman.
With 2 Olympic parents in the household, a little bit of pressure. Yeah. And so we try to kind of scale back a little bit those kind of expectations so she didn't feel an intense amount of pressure.
His daughter, Maya Vallman, is in a breakout year, setting school records almost every weekend. She returned back to her home state of Maryland in 2024 after graduating from Stanford.
She's vested. This is a good experience coming from Stanford to Maryland. Yeah. Big Ten, the competition level, it's a good balance now, and so she can see another side of life and being back home on the East Coast where home is.
Coach Vallman is in his 23rd season as head coach of Maryland women's cross country and track and field teams. He now leads a Maryland program that is desperate for a conference championship. The Terps haven't won a conference title since the 1900s, but he's hoping his personal relationships can change that, starting with his daughter.
That's the goal. That's always been the goal. You sit back and you see basketball, you see football, you see lacrosse winning. We want to do our part as well.
For Terrapin Sports Central, I'm Eddie Calkins.
Great job, Eddie. And Brendan, track and field is a sport that really doesn't get enough attention at Maryland, especially considering Coach Valman is a former Olympian himself.
Yeah, I think definitely under a program that hasn't been covered enough, but I think that might change. And that's because a person we all know about, Quincy Wilson, the gold medalist who committed to Maryland last fall. He actually came by our studio this morning for an exclusive interview.
Our full conversation with Quincy drops on our Track and Field in Focus show. But here's a quick preview.
We're very excited to have you. So let's talk about one of your recent meets, the New Balance Nationals indoor, the 400 meter. Ended up being a pretty close race. Is that what you were expecting going into that meet?
I knew that I had a chip on my shoulder. It was me coming in with 3 consecutive wins, and so I knew that the 4th one wasn't going to be any easier than any of the other 3. So I knew it was going to be a good race to the finish line. And that's what it was.
You are an incoming journalism major here.
Yes.
So could we potentially see you sitting in these chairs one day?
Of course. That's something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to, run a show, be on TV, be that type of guy, and that's something I've always looked forward to doing.
It's incredible. Can't wait to support you on that journey here.
Thank you.
What sparked your interest in wanting to get into journalism, broadcast journalism?
In 2024, when I was doing a lot of the CNN and the NBC and a lot of big interviews, I remember just going on the backstage and a lot of them just showing me around, and I thought it was something really cool, and it just sparked my interest from there. And so I always said in the last 2 years, this journalism is what I want to do. Broadcast journalism, something that I really want to get into after I branch off from the first couple years.
What do you hope your legacy will be on Maryland?
Just what I kind of really did with Bus. We came in with 2 boys. We had a 3-boys team, and now we're the fastest team that's ever stepped foot on American soil. We ran 3:06, and before that it was a 40-year-old record. And no one thought Bus was a boys team. Nobody thought we could do it. So, just coming out here, I feel like we can do that with the college as well. I just bring in that leadership, like I said. I think that can change a lot of things around, and we're just chasing greatness for real.
I think the coolest part with talking about Quincy is, hey, look around, we're in Taza, and he actually wants to maybe be behind the desk as well as a reporter, obviously majoring in journalism, and that was super cool to hear from him.
It's so cool that he not only came here, but also I was so impressed by how much of a natural he was on air. I mean, you forget that this guy is still in high school, he was so natural in front of the camera, so nice to everyone, and just a pleasure having him on the show. Now, our full interview drops on our YouTube channel at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. But stay in your seats as we have more show for you after the break.
We play one of our favorite games and hand out some awards. Don't go anywhere.
You quit smoking and thought, that's that. But here's the thing about lung cancer. By the time you see the symptoms, it could be too late. But now, there's a new scan that can detect lung cancer early, when it's more curable. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back to the Left Bench presented by Terrapin Sports Central. That's Daniel Stein. I'm Brendan Weissel. And Daniel, I actually heard it's time to do a little bit of sleuthing.
Oh my God, like cue the Law and Order music. This is going to be electric. We're going to play Two Terps and a Lie. Our producers have 3 statements, but one of them is false.
And it's our job to guess which one is false. Glasses are off. Let the games begin.
All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, this marks the 11th season in the last 14 years that Maryland women's lacrosse has been ranked number 1. Okay, Eric Spanos had 2 ground balls in Saturday's win versus Michigan. Let's see how much of a knower I am. Braden Martin extended his on-base streak to 57 straight games this weekend versus number 12 USC. Any thoughts so far?
Eric Spanos had 2 ground balls. I feel like that might be the lie. Because he probably could have had more.
Yeah, maybe. I know for a fact that the third one is true.
The third one's true.
Yeah, because I was there all weekend. I've witnessed it with my own eyes. If Braden Martin had a game where he didn't get on base, I would have seen it and it would have been crazy. So that's definitely not the lie.
So the question is it women's lacrosse or is it Spanos having true 2 ground balls?
11th season in the last 14 years that lacrosse has been ranked number 1. I mean,
I think
they've always been
no,
good.
that can't be true.
They've always been good, but I don't know if
they were not ranked number 1.
Yeah, like the last 2 years I've been here, they've always been good, but not the best. In the nation.
I think let's go with women's lacrosse as the lie. I feel like that. Yeah. Let's go with the first one.
Yeah. Okay.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
The 10th.
Did we get it?
Wow, it was the 10th.
Yes, we got it.
We're 1 for 1.
Okay.
Nicely done.
Nice job. See, we're good historical context here. We're collectively terrible at these games. Awful at games. So
awful is like a nice way to describe how we did.
Yeah, this is a good start.
Yeah. All right, number 2.
All right, number 2. You want to read this one? Go ahead.
All you.
Okay. Maryland volleyball will play Vanderbilt and Arkansas in the inaugural Big Ten SEC Challenge this week. Maryland football's spring showcase is on Maryland Day, April 24th. And the Maryland field hockey team will host its 15th annual golf outing on May 1st.
Okay. I am fairly certain that Maryland football's spring game is on April 25th.
Yeah?
I could be wrong.
Now,
but that's when I first read it, that's what I think it is.
Now, okay, I will say this. I get the emails from Maryland field hockey every week. So I am a field hockey knower, and I'm pretty sure that golf outing thing is right. So I think
I know they always do that.
So I think maybe the first one might be the lie.
Big Ten SEC. I mean I don't even know if that's actually a thing.
Well, I did hear about today that there's going to be like a volleyball game at like Wrigley Field.
Okay.
So like
very close to College Park.
They could have just done all of like the announcements this week. I know Maryland's not playing at Wrigley Field.
Yeah. I'm going to go with number 2. I think the spring game is on the 25th.
Okay, I'll guess that one.
Wow.
Yes.
That's some ball.
Wow.
Hey, are we 2 for 2?
We 2 for 2. Come on, man.
What's going on here?
It's too easy.
All right, let's see the next one.
All right. 2 Terps and a lie. All right, Maryland women's golf placed 12th at the Clemson Invitational last weekend. Number 37 Maryland's tennis dropped a pair of ranked matchups to Big Ten opponents, and then 3 Terps posted top 10 program record performances at the Navy Invitational last weekend.
The last one's true.
Okay.
Unless they are doing something with the wording there. That one's true. So it's women's golf. I'm pretty sure they're ranked number 37, so I don't think that's the lie.
That ranking for tennis sounds about right.
I remember seeing
golf
that.
placed 12th at the Clemson. What if the Invitational wasn't in Clemson?
Yeah. Or they just didn't place.
Maybe they didn't place.
Yeah.
It's one of the first 2.
Yeah, we have 50% chance. I'm gonna go with golf, because I think that tennis sounds right.
Okay, let's see him again. Dropped a pair of ranked matchups. You know what? For the sake of
competition and us actually having a combined, maybe getting all the questions right. I like this idea.
All right,
I'll go with the first one. Your second one?
I'll take the second one.
Let's see it.
Yes.
Oh, it was 35.
Wow. Wow.
I knew the ranking was close because I'd seen it.
Yeah.
They must have just changed it. They must have just voted. The show started at 6. They must have done the voting. This is ridiculous. 6:30.
But hey, this is improvement. All right, we got one more show after this, so maybe next time we'll go 4 for 4, 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Whatever. But good work. Good work.
Very well. All right, that was a very fun game. And now we've actually played our fun game ourselves. Let's give out some real words. Our Terp of the week is the man that Daniel described as Thanos earlier in the show. This award goes to Eric Spanos. Last week, Spanos returned after missing 3 games due to injury. Against Penn State, he scored no goals on 7 shots. This week, he made up for his no-goal performance and his lost time. Spanos caught fire in Ann Arbor on Saturday, and honestly, I'm not sure if he's been extinguished. Let's count his goals. We got number 1, super easy for him. That number 2, even easier. Number 3, the easiest of all, not even a goalie gets it in. Number 4 gets the goalie, put his legs together, and he goes right around him. Very nice. We're at 5, I'm losing count. Here we go, that's 6, which was his career high, but now he gets number 7, a new career high. He says, you know what, I'm not done. He says, Give me one more, maybe his best goal today, 8, and Maryland needed all of those. A performance for the ages in Ann Arbor for Eric Spanos, and easiest choice of all time. He is our Terp of the week.
This really is inevitable. Now for our pro Terp. We're traveling to the state that gave us cheesesteaks and Heinz ketchup. Weissel, I'm getting really hungry. It's Pennsylvania. The newest Pittsburgh Pirate and former Dirty Terp, Brandon Lau, is off to a red-hot start to the 2026 baseball season. He's this week's pro Terp. Now in the Pirates series versus the Mets, Lau hit not one, not two, I'm losing my mind, but 3 home runs across 3 games. He collected 4 RBIs in the series, and while the Pirates only won the final game of the series, Lau is still turning heads to start the year. He played 120 games with the Terps in the mid-2010s, compiling over 140 hits and 10 home runs. Congrats to Brandon for being named this week's Pro Terp.
All right, we gave out some awards. We did a bit of gaming ourselves. We did pretty well, but you know what time it is. Top 5 plays, Daniel, all you.
All right, let's do it. Roll the clip. Need to see these plays. All right, number 5 here. We have Ty Konis at shortstop with Braden Ryan on the mound. High fly ball. Nope, it's just snared. Ty Konis, amazing shortstop. What a play to get us started.
Doing a little Air Jordan there. Very nice. Here we go. Corey Edmondson bounces the goal in. Huge goal against Penn State. A huge second quarter for Maryland as a whole there. One that was much needed. Lauren LaPointe scored a good amount of goals in that second quarter too, but Corey Edmondson kind of playing as she always been the past 4 years. Just rock solid. One more look at that goal. Getting defended, getting pressed up. Beautiful shot. Very nicely done.
Edmondson, I mean, she scores so many goals, and yet that one's the highlight. Must be a good one. Now, number 3, it goes off the glove of Lance Williams and into the glove of David Mendez. Dave goes for the dive. What a play here. Let's take a look at the replay in just 1 second for dramatic purposes here. As you see, line drive off the glove of Lance, and Mendez, like a shot, just walks in, makes the play. Diving catch for number 3. Man, the Dirty Terps are playing well defensively.
That is not easy to do. Complete redirection, very nicely done. If you score 8 goals, you are statistically likely to have one that's going to be in our top 5 plays. Eric Spanos comes in here at number 2, a wraparound goal. A little deep, gets the goalie to put his legs together. Spanos makes a nice move and goes around. Like I said, if you score 8 goals, you're making the top 5.
And so now for number 1, what could be better than that goal? Just the save from JJ Soriano. You might not get a good look at it on the first try, but take a look at the replay coming up. JJ Soriano has been playing her best lacrosse this season. She makes a crazy save against Johns Hopkins. I would say, as I always say, this play really just like me, but I can't be like this. Look at this, front door, boom, just right into the stick. No chance you're stopping that. What a read. What a top 5 plays. I mean, Soriano, man.
Very nice deflection. Well, let's get out of here. That does it for us this evening. Make sure to follow all of our coverage on Instagram, X, YouTube, and online at TerrapinSportsCentral.com. Thanks for joining us. If you like the show, you're lucky because later this week, I'll actually be behind the desk again, who would have thought, with first-time TSC host Ashley Burkett to chat all things Maryland track and field.
That's all from us today. We'll see you next time.